running into a mirror. Don't. Okay. She weathers the rain in a ripped raincoat and stretches her limbs along the length of the pavement. Bristol is all grey shapes and blue lines, and the scrunched faces of cyclists, and the crossed arms of a homeless man, and the buses dangerously mounting the curbs, and the armies of people in suits crossing bridges. But this place is more than the graffiti and gastropubs. It's suburbs and ring roads and hundreds of people who aren't on brand, but more than its fair share of people who will take a stand. And all this she takes in her stride. Another day and an uncertain future, another wound and another suture, and the sound of her mother echoes down the phone. And the newspapers keep saying the young are alone, they're pandas, they're poor, they're angry, they're sore. And is it worse than it was when we were young? I can't remember anymore. And we're swept up in a wave of hyperbole and observational comedy. And everyone reflects so much that it's like being lost in a hall of mirrors, an ironically bad hall of mirrors like the one at Wookie Hole, but in an apocalyptic future 2 degrees to the left, filled with cracked glass and warped surfaces where we barely recognize our own faces. And it's noisy. Everyone wants to talk about everything, and that's great, that's empowering, but it is sometimes too much, the endless chatter, digitized and typed, when all you crave is touch. And to block out the noise, she stuffs tiny plastic cones into the holes in her head that feed her sounds of something else. Words of paranoia, words of comfort, a steadier beat than that of her heart, so that each step seems to start from a rhythm of feeling, something that doesn't need to be explained, but she connects her to another person in another time, in another place, and the beginnings of a smile tingle on her face. And like the music and like her steps, things march on, despite the fact it steps on some. My first love's mother believed the repossession of her parents' home to build the A4174 ring roads gave her mother so much sorrow it caused her cancer. And who's to say what a heart unplugged from its home will suffer under the weight of such sadness? But we're still here. And in this imaginary city, the ripped raincoat girl is still walking, and we're all still talking. And though sometimes the talk can take a cynical turn, the light touch of the hopeful and the young in the face of so much information about the world's wrongs makes it easier. We'll dance and joke ourselves to freedom. Hand me a can of Thatcher's cider or Slowford Press. Give me a man with eccentric hair to impress, because I might be a middle-class sounding girl in an overpriced dress, dungarees. But I can swear like a trooper and provide you with some excellent vomit-involving bloopers. And the girl walking knows that she could pack and leave, but she wears her love for Bristol on her sleeve, despite the fact she's gambled and lost 2 elections and 1 referendum. And every day feels like it has more bad news than good. But if there's not certainty of death, then there's certainty of a biblical flood. But this is her home, and she can't stay glum. With the hills of this city and the bridges and the sun and the boats and the woods and the towers pouring into her eyeballs and through her retinas to tickle her synapses with new sights and sensations that feel at once exciting and new, but completely and utterly her home too. So the girl cuts out her heart with a penknife you lent her and buries it in the secret centre of this city of bridges and stones, knowing there might be somewhere better, but this is the place that she calls home. Thank you very much.